Hi, everyone. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the BI Livecast series. My name is Selvi Sekar, and I'm a content and community lead here at Brand Innovators. Today is really special, and I'm thrilled to kick off the CBD and Cannabis Marketing Livecast. We've got a phenomenal event in store with two incredible marketers. Before we get started, we'd like to thank all of the marketers, sponsors, and even you, the audience, for helping make this event possible. Throughout the event, you will be able to use the Q&A widget and the chat widget at the bottom of your screen. We encourage you to engage with our speakers and other attendees using these tools throughout the program. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming our speakers from Sagely Naturals, Kerrigan Behrens, co-founder and the co-CEO, and Leah Wise, Director of Marketing, along with their moderator, Ashley Marable, VP of Sales at RTL Ad Connect. Thank you.
Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us. My name is Ashley Marable. I am indeed with RTL Ad Connect, which is a Bertelsmann company, an NBC Universal partner, and the largest media network in Europe. I'm happy to be joined today by Kerrigan and Leah from Sagely Naturals. Sagely Naturals is a collection of hemp-derived CBD-infused products that support whole self wellness, and we're lucky to hear from them today in this exciting and emerging category. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Kerrigan and ask you, Kerrigan, if you wouldn't mind explaining. Well, my company is kind of a startup as well. We started up 100 years ago. I think you may be a little newer to the game. So why don't you tell us how Sagely Naturals got going?
Yeah, I don't think our 7 years has anything on you, but my co-founder Kaylee and I started Sagely in 2015 when fewer than 2% of Americans had heard of CBD. And I had a life-changing experience using it for the first time. I have something called endometriosis, which can cause chronic pain. And I had seen 14 doctors. I had steroid injections. I had taken Vicodin. I gave myself an ulcer from the Advil that I was taking. It wasn't sustainable. This was all before I was even 30 years old. So I was really seeking out something more natural, but I hadn't found anything that was as effective as these more toxic alternatives that I was using. And when I tried CBD, it was truly one of those life-changing moments where I felt like this was the answer I had been looking for. I felt better for the first time in years, and I wasn't getting the same side effects. So not even 2 weeks after I tried CBD for the first time, I did my market research. I got my cannabis prescription here in California and noticed very quickly that there was really a white space for a more approachable, accessible brand, specifically that spoke to women and their needs. Women deal disproportionately with things like chronic pain, stress, trouble sleeping, and lo and behold, these are all things that CBD can be helpful with. So very quickly, I convinced Kaylee, my co-founder, to get on the train with me, and we invested $30,000 of our savings to create our first product. Fast forward, couple of years of knocking on doors of local natural food stores to the passing of the Farm Bill in 2019, when we went from under 1,000 points of distribution to over 10,000 in a year. So we launched that year into major drugstores like CVS, Walgreens, and lots of natural food stores and grocery stores around the corner from probably where you live. Now, fast forward again a couple of years, and we are still the #1 selling CBD topical brand in both the drug and mass channels. We're now sold in 20,000 stores across the country, which we're very proud of. And it all just comes down to the fact that we have relied on consumer insights from day one. So we know who our customer is. It's a woman like me or like my mom who isn't necessarily a hardcore athlete, but still deals with daily aches and pains. looking for a natural but effective alternative to things like Advil, and since have actually launched our first collection of non-CBD products. So you can now find our over-the-counter pain relief collection in Target, and soon to be in another major national retailer by the end of the month. So it's been quite a ride, but we've really just stayed true to understanding our consumer and trying to meet her needs, which I think has been at the heart of our success.
Wow. Well, congratulations. That's an admirable story, and it's a very personal one too. So thank you for that. Cannabis and hemp aren't exactly the metaverses of 2022. This is a challenging product, Leah, for you to market due to the cultural and also the regulatory challenges that I think you face. How do you do that?
We get very, very creative. So my background is working with big brands like Huggies and Kleenex and Cottonelle and Pepsi. And so when I joined Sagely, inspired on massive part by Kerrigan's story and both her and Kaylee's passion, it was a learning curve for me. And what we have used as our North Star is what Kerrigan mentioned, the insights. So we understand our consumer. And while we can't do a lot of the kind of normal 101 marketing tactics, we figured out ways to get laser focused on our bullseye target. So we have to be nimble, we have to be scrappy, and we have to be smart with every single dollar that we spend, because we are a smaller brand. And we're competing against not only other CBD companies, but other pain relief products as well. So it's all about using our insights to talk directly to the people that matter the most to us.
Wow, that's fantastic.
I also just want to add, things have changed a lot in the last 7 years, and that there are channels that were not open to us 7 years ago that are now. And so it really takes the discipline to find a contact who, is in whatever media space you're interested in testing, and just call them every 6 months. We wanted to start doing over the top advertising and linear TV years ago. We're not given the permission to do that. And then, Leah will talk at some point soon about how we finally got to do that. But it took, years of conversations with these partners to convince them that we would do it in an honorable way, that we would not be using claims that we should not use. We would not get them in trouble, basically.
That's great. That's great. Wow. The other wow thing about you guys that I've learned is that you are doing this marketing without the traditional two pillars of the stool of Facebook and Google. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've run across an advertiser in the last 10 years that isn't using both, and you're using neither. How are you accomplishing your rapid growth without those staples?
So to be clear, we would love to be using both Facebook and Google, because there's a reason that everyone uses them. They are still, while they're a bit more expensive, they are still relatively affordable to reach a really wide mass audience. But we've had to get, again, creative on how to talk to them. So that's one of the areas where the linear TV came into play. How do we talk to a broad group of our potential consumers with a limited budget? So we were, what we believe, we were the first CBD company to have a linear TV ad run in the LA market. I believe we have the commercial to share for you or share with you today. And I think when you see it, you'll see how the messaging was crafted so that we could talk about CBD without being overtly challenging for some of our audience members. Selvi, are you able to play the commercial?
We're playing it now. Hold on just a moment.
Feel grateful.
feel liberated. Feel better. Support whole self wellness. Sagely Naturals unlocks the power of nature through CBD, so you can do more of what you love.
So I think that commercial hopefully serves as an example of one of the ways we worked around the Google and Facebook restrictions, using that through both linear and OTT. And then beyond that, we've partnered with a lot of really strategic, smart vendors who have helped us reach those consumers in creative ways outside of traditional mass media.
Yeah, you mentioned when we talked earlier, you told me that it was called, you used something, I hadn't heard this phrase before, called rich digital targeting. What exactly does that mean for you?
So one of the challenges with for our company, and really for every company out there in the marketing space, is using our dollars in the most financially responsible and high impact ways. So we've found for us, because we're serving a very specific need for our target consumer, that when we can invest a dollar that hits at every level of the marketing funnel, the top, the middle, and the low end of the marketing funnel, our dollars work harder for us. So rich digital media, there's lots and lots of vendors out there. We have used and we've tried some programs with 4 different vendors to date. 3 of the 4 have been exceptional partners to us and have really driven results for our business. And the rich digital media basically allows us to take those insights, layer who we know our consumer is, and serve her ads directly. So we're able to accomplish awareness and driving awareness, which is a top of the funnel tactic. But we can also then serve ads where we can connect her directly to our website, connect her directly to one of our retail partners' websites, so that we can drive conversion to at the store level or through our.com.
That's fantastic.
Leah, I noticed someone asked a question while you were speaking about whether we've used cannabis specific agencies. And I'm glad that question was asked because we have used a cannabis specific agency. And actually, when Leah was saying that 3 of the 4 worked and 1 didn't, the one that didn't was the only cannabis specific agency. It was more than 4 times the cost of the other agencies, like per impression. And when we did a post campaign lift study, it did not actually lift our sales in the targeted retailers at all. So very disappointing performance. I'm not saying that every cannabis specific agency is subpar, but my general experience in the last 7 years has been that non-cannabis specific agencies typically have better performance. And I may be very unpopular for saying that, but I'm going to say it.
Well, I think too, so I took a lot of the relationships that I had from big brands and have brought them with me to Sagely. And there's a reason that the common names in the spaces that we're used to are the common names. And that's because they do deliver, and they drive results for us. And that's what my job is, to make sure that every program that I run, every dollar that I spend has a positive ROI and ROAS. And if we're not accomplishing those 2 things, I'm not doing my job well. Fiscal responsibility in every company is always a top of mind important factor. But when you're working for a small brand with limited budgets and we're competing against big brands and big names with big budgets, we've got to be super, super gritty and conservative and invested in making sure the results are there. And we have found a lot of vendor partners who have helped us to do that.
Well, it's funny the stuff you mentioned pertains particularly to my company. So we are the largest linear broadcaster across Europe. So I appreciate your commercial and how you can use that on linear television, because we're the number 1 or number 2 broadcaster in pretty much every major market in Europe. But at the same time, to your point, Leah, where we're seeing the most growth particularly in Germany and France and in Spain right now is in addressable TV, where we're able to either replace people's spots who've already seen the commercial or retarget those people. But while we have this massive linear footprint, addressable television is allowing us to zero in on consumers in new ways that we haven't been able to before.
So can I say one thing about our TV spot? When we did it, we did do an in-depth post run analysis and awareness of our brand using LA as our sample and the rest of the country as the control. There was a noticeable lift in awareness and in our sales results when we ran that linear TV. So I'm a huge believer. If I had all the money in the world, I would certainly be investing in it.
Yeah.
It really did concretely and measurably work for us.
Yeah. The demise of linear television has been greatly overstated.
Yeah, I would agree.
But you guys are also now facing another challenge, which is you're expanding into these giant retail outlets like Target, and you have a tiny portfolio of brands in a very, very competitive category. So how are you going to stand out in this hyper competitive environment?
Yeah, so one of the things that I think will set us apart naturally is that we're talking to new consumers in a new way. So as Kerrigan mentioned, we took the time to develop Sagely rooted in insights. Again, I can't say enough about the insights. And we made them actionable. And we're going to do things to help consumers along their path to purchase. So I think one of the best avenues to do that when you are in a major retail chain is through some of the receipt apps that exist. Because what they allow you to do, again, is work through the marketing funnel to help a consumer navigate her pre-store planning to get your item on the list, to help her as she's in the store navigate to your product on the shelf. And then finally, it provides her an incentive to put that product into her cart. So in every dollar that we're investing, we're making it as easy as possible for the consumer to go from someone who is aware of us to someone who is buying from us. We want to remove all of the barriers for her so that she has no reason but to put our product into her cart.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, best of luck to you as you launch your new products in new environments. A plug for our own network, I guess, right now is I'm curious about your long-term plans for international expansion. We would welcome you in Europe.
Yeah, so we were acquired in the last year by Hemp Fusion Wellness, and they do have a presence in international markets. Certainly there is a plan to expand Sagely Naturals into international markets, but as a part of a publicly traded company, I don't think I'm allowed to disclose exactly what those plans are, but I'll keep you posted, Ashley.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I mean, plant-based foods, plant-based products are expanding rapidly across Europe. The green footprint of Europe is probably ahead of the US green footprint, but that's for another day. But I think that wraps up our questions. We seem to have some from the chat.
Yeah, I see a follow-up question from Paige. Is it tougher to stay on top of the legal considerations by state if you're not using a cannabis agency? Interestingly, no. I mean, the media companies know where we can advertise and not. So we said to them, we would like to advertise in these 5 markets. And they came back to us and they said, sorry, 2 of them won't let you. These 3 remaining ones will, and here's what you have to do in order to be compliant. And so the commercial that you just saw followed all of the rules of those 3 markets where we were allowed to show the commercial. And then someone else is asking what audience data we used to target our consumers as it related to the cannabis agency. Everything from general demo, like age gender to where in the country the person lives to interests, so leaning towards natural consumer to openness to cannabis use. That really was what that particular agency was selling, was that they knew more about their cannabis habits of their consumers. Ultimately, that, clearly didn't help us. But that is what they say their edge is that they know more about cannabis consumption use for their particular consumers that they're targeting.
Right.
I think what we have found in our targeting is that CBD users are looking more and more like the rest of the market. I think it's a different, as Kerrigan said, it's a different challenge today than it was 7 years ago. Most people have heard of it. A lot of people have tried it, but there's still a huge upside and opportunity for growth. So the challenge now is making it accessible and making it feel safe for someone to use if they're trying it for the first time.
Right. Hey, Kerrigan, since this is a personal product for you, what is your favorite one?
Oh, I love that question. Leah, thank you for bringing the products. I'm being a terrible spokesperson that I don't have them with me right now, but it's the first one we started with. It's the Relief and Recovery Cream. Yeah, there's a reason why it's the best seller in the country. Actually, now the extra strength version is the best seller, but it smells great, like essential peppermint oil. It doesn't have an overwhelming menthol smell, even though there is a hint of menthol in it. And it absorbs really quickly, and it doesn't leave your hands greasy, and the smell doesn't follow you around all day. So, all of the reasons why I hated using products like BioFreeze in my past life, this product really solves for that. And you get all the added benefits of the CBD for the anti-inflammatory benefits. And it just feels really good.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you for that. Well, I have no further questions. If the audience doesn't, I guess we'll say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yep.
Thank you both. That was such a great conversation. And thank you, Kerrigan, for shedding light on health issues like endometriosis. It's so important. That's the end of the day. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and tuning in. Big shout out to our speakers, our sponsors, and our audience. Be sure to check out the Brand Innovators website to learn more about our upcoming events. Have a great day.